The Cold War was a political ideological conflict that was fought between the United States and the Soviet Union between 1947 and 1991. The conflict between these two countries was responsible for polarizing the world into two large blocs, one aligned to capitalism and another in line with communism. The Cold War created a climate of strong international tension over the possibility of open conflict between the Americans and the Soviets. The existence of nuclear and thermonuclear weapons in the possession of these countries made this expectation of conflict all the more dreadful, for such a conflict would bring about the annihilation of humanity. Over the decades of the Cold War, there were numerous moments of tension. In the case of Germany, the Cold War had far greater impacts than in much of the world. This is because at the end of World War II, Germany was divided into zones of influence of the Soviets, Americans, French and British. This division had an impact on the future of the country, which ended up being divided into two nations: German Democratic Republic, aligned with the Soviet Union and known as East Germany; Federal Republic of Germany, aligned with the United States and known as West Germany.
The space race was one of the chapters of the Cold War, in which the United States and the Soviet Union competed for hegemony in space exploration, and one of the most relevant moments was the arrival of man on the moon. The first major milestone in the space race was a Soviet achievement, Sputnik 1. The first artificial satellite to stay in Earth orbit was launched. A few minutes later, the satellite began to emit the first radio signals, and it stayed in orbit for 22 days before its batteries ran out. And its purpose was of little relevance, as it was to transmit an amateur radio signal that could be heard as a beep anywhere in the world.
The end of fate was June 18 was joint space mission with care of the Americans and the Soviets. The Apollo ships, about 9 from Apollo 18, signed by an American and a Soviet 19, signed by Soviets participant to the mission. This discovery mission make it enough in space to spend being pace printed between the last big thing in space was the standard of manned experiment to the moon. There was American fear, and the project was announced by U.S. President John Kennedy in 1961. Sending manned experiments to the moon was obsessed American. Since the greatest in aviation, space race was being carried out by the Soviet Union. The end of space race came in June 18 when a joint space mission was carried about the Americans and Soviets. The Apollo ships, popularly known Apollo 18, sent by Americans and the Soviet 19, sent by the Soviets participated in the missions. The cooperated missions make up the end of space dispute and being a pace of things, comparing between and use.